she or any other person who's being filmed by a videographer says unequivocally, no. The videographer should back off. True? It depends the no.
GGW Part 5, and you're like, well, didn't you show that same clip before? No, he just says that like 18 times in this documentary, which is beyond concerning. At this point, they're adamant that they are having people sign waivers, they're having people show IDs and all of that stuff, but there's a little hitch in that giddy up.
At this point, I mean, we were pretty wasted. Like, probably had to be walked out of the club.
I remember tripping the entire time I was walking. That's how intoxicated I was to this bus.
We got on the bus and sat there, and they made us some more drinks, and then it just kind of, I don't even know after that. It's kind of blurry.
You cannot legally enter into any kind of contract when you're in that state of mind, including a waiver, because you're not there to make that agreement, and it wouldn't be legally enforceable. Now, say you took this to court or whatever, they'd be like, well, you have to meet that burden of proof, and good for them, GGW filmed it. So I have no idea how he's not in jail and how any of those still exist in the world and haven't been flagged as like the worst of the worst. I don't. That was an overstatement. He's rich. It's not really a mystery.
He asked for our IDs, and he looked at them, and then he said, I need you guys to sign this paper, and then we'll get right to it. And as an 18-year-old, I don't care what's on that paper. You know, I have no idea what's on that paper. I'm just going to sign it because I want to be a part of something that I, at the time, thought was cool. So we both signed that paper.
There's just so many crimes, and these stories are told over and over again. I don't remember how I got on the bus. I don't know how I even walked on the bus. Once I was on the bus, I don't remember what happened after that. I remember saying no and them just pushing and pushing and pushing. One person even has a story that their brother was outside of the bus banging on the door trying to get her out, and they wouldn't let her leave and wouldn't let him in. Many of them also reported feeling like if they didn't comply, things would go bad for them, or doing it just so they could get it over with so that they could leave, feeling unsafe. Because you got to remember, there's like 3 to 5 people there, because you got a producer, you got cameramen, and they said that they have like 3 cameramen per bus. And most of them report that they would all kind of line the doors so you didn't feel like there was an exit to access.
Definitely think that Girls Gone Wild was looking for naive women. I just was so naive. I didn't realize I could say no. I really didn't.
But now you see Joe has started getting himself in a lot of legal trouble, which should have been more, but he's started getting himself in a lot of legal trouble. And the legal defense that he comes with is that this is all, they wanted to do it, this is whatever. However, his marketing says something completely different.
Girls Gone Wild, their legal argument had to be the girls wanted to do it. But their marketing argument had been, you wouldn't believe what we get these girls to do.
I love to see guys take a girl who wasn't going to do anything and all of a sudden gets them to pull down the thing and, okay, I'll show you my thong, and the next thing you know, show me your thong and flash me, and the next thing you know, now they're kind of loose, and the next thing you know, it just goes on, keep going, you know, don't take no for an answer.
That is from a literal training video, not to mention, again, Joe was in a lot of legal trouble at this, so he was deposed.
She or any other person who's being filmed by a videographer says unequivocally, no. The videographer should back off. True? It depends the no. If it's no, get this camera away from me, absolutely. But if someone's like, I don't know, no, it's all how you say it.
Joe gets hit with another complaint in 2006, and the FBI has started a new task force, and this is going to be the first on their list. And I think one thing that's really telling is the employee response to when the FBI actually came in the building.
One person says, what do you think this is for? And then one person's like, well, remember that like class action suit and all the credit card charges? Oh, that could be it. But what about the underage girls? Oh, that could be it too. We all kind of just stopped and realized there are quite a few reasons why they could be storming the office.
So if the FBI shows up at your place of business and you literally can't figure out which reason they're there, that could be an issue. However, they got there, but they had destroyed a lot of footage before they got there. They still have some stuff in the vault, which they admitted that they have, but apparently no one cares about that. However, Joe is a schmoozer, and he knows how to kiss butt, and he said that basically with the FBI, he did what's calling wagging the dog. And he got all on their good side, and in the end, for all the footage of underage people there were, he was fined $2.1 million and given community service. However, he had one of his employees do his community service for him, which I don't even know how that's possible. At this point, Joe's starting to feel untouchable, and that's above and beyond his usual because he's got all these celebrities. He's able to manipulate the FBI when he should have gotten charged with so much more, and he starts being nicknamed Hurricane Joe. And it's just hard for everyone to have him around. They call him assertively relentless, which in my opinion is not a compliment, especially in his line of work. Now, this next part, I'm going to paraphrase because it's horrible and this is TikTok, but basically, there were at least 5 instances one cameraman reported, 0 of which he intervened in, where he would heard the giggling go to screaming. One girl ran off the bus, and when she reported it, Joe actually tried to say that one of his cameramen did it. There was another girl that had said that she had never been with anyone, so she didn't want to, like, do anything, so Joe dragged her into a back room, came out, bragged, and said, well, that's not true anymore. When she reported it and said that she had had a lot of pain, Joe had his lawyer make a comment and respond that he can't speak to anyone's discomfort, but his client is reputedly well endowed. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Now, this brings us to Clara Hoffman, and this is a lot of the reason that Saatchi ended up taking security with her when she went out to his Mexico compound, because this woman wanted to go out. She was a younger journalist, and she really wanted to do this story, but as her boss kind of points out, this was a dangerous time. It's still a dangerous time in the entertainment industry. This was before a lot of the Harvey Weinstein stuff came out. And he had invited this woman to his Mexico compound. And her boss was like, that is not happening. That is dangerous. No, I've heard too much about this guy. You won't be safe. So she ends up meeting them at a filming location, and it's still not safe.
I was reporting last night. I talked to a bunch of girls, talked with Joe Francis, followed him around. And then at some point he came out, or one of their buses, and he just came over and he just pinned me against this cop car. I thought he was going to break my arm, and I'm covered in bruises. My arms are completely black and blue. I punched him in the face. I got him off me, but then he was trying to get my notebook and he kept clutching at my notebook and he was screaming at me. And I was so scared. I mean, it's emotional just thinking about it. She finally got free of him, and various Girls Gone Wild people hovered around her. And then Joe came back and he whispered, "Baby, give me a kiss."
No one intervened either. None of the people that worked there, the police officer that was there, because they weren't just by a cop car. He did this on the hood of the cop car, and the cop made a statement. It's in here, and you can look that up. It was real wishy-washy, like I thought they were just joshing or whatever. And when people asked her, why didn't you press charges? Well, the reality of being a woman in the entertainment industry escapes people sometimes.
What she was really worried about was that she was going to get fired.
So the article Claire writes comes out, and Joe has his attorney send just this scathing email, and sometimes he sends them himself, and they're very, very unhinged, basically saying, like, how could you say all this true stuff that I allegedly probably did?
Trust me, by now, there would be so many other girls saying that if I had. I have never a woman, ever. Ever. Or a man. Or a child.
First of all, there are a lot saying that that happened. Second of all, you know what I've never had to do in my entire life is clarify all the things that he had to clarify. If you have to clarify that, and even more so on a national platform, that's about all I can take for this part, but that concludes the first 2 episodes. There's one more left that we are going to go into that is pretty hardcore. It talks about his ex-wife, his children, and why he's in Mexico now. He was sentenced to like 270 days and ended up fleeing the country. I hope that you guys have a good day, and this was a really rough one, wasn't it? But anyway, have a good day.